Hey everybody, it is the day after my birthday. I didn't make a oh, I have a pimple there. That's gross. Um, I didn't make a video on my birthday just because it was a day I just needed to just be right. So it's the end of my golden year and it's the 31st. So I'm thinking, all right, what am I gonna do for my 31st year, right? And it's been a very interesting thing. So I came and totally rearranged my room, right? So I woke up, rearranged my room, and now, for Project Flying Eagle, I'm going to just sort of set up the parameters and the goals of what's going to go happen with that, and just sort of cleaning my room, getting rid of like a lot of old clothes, just getting rid of a lot of stuff, right? And just creating the space uh, for the new, fresh things in my life to come in, right? And so it's been really good. I'm super pumped and excited. My birthday was really good. I got to connect with some really special people in my life, and it was just fun. I didn't do anything much. I spent like most of the day like out, like I talked to some people on the phone, but yeah, just was alone most of the day, and I'm fine. But I decided like this 30th birthday that I had, uh, that's the like last one I spend alone. You know what I mean? Like so, my 31st birthday, I was alone, and that's fine. And I think it's because setting up for the future and stuff, because the ground is fertile and ready to be seeded. And so I think I need to put that. But from now on, like I don't want to be spending too many birthdays alone because it's become a bit of a pattern, and like I'm just done with that. I'm just super done with it, right? Like it would be nice to share your birthday with people. And normally I do like a service on my birthday and watch a pirate movie, and those are traditions that I sort of go in and out of. But I just started thinking a lot about like why I do services and things like that. And like when I was being really honest with myself, I realized honestly it's just because like I'm looking for like someone to spend time with or do something on my birthday with. And so I do things as a way of like attracting people to me. But like it never lasts, right? And it didn't work, right? Obviously, like I spent my 31st birthday and I didn't really have anybody outside of like the people I called, which I'm really grateful for. But they were all like far away, right? Like they were all in different states. Like one was in Utah, one was in Kentucky, a couple were actually in Utah, and like I'm here in New York, and like the people in New York are great and stuff like that, but no one that I could spend my birthday with, even though I texted and asked some people, and then the others, I don't effing trust them. So it was an interesting thing, right? And I just had to think, okay, like how did I get here? What's going on? And so like going forward into this 31st year, I'm using this day, kind of rearranging my life, getting rid of anything that's just like not really serving me, right? This is my whole life. Just I've been rearranging my room, and it's a really nice setup. I've tried to make it completely different than what it was looking like before. Not too different, but just different enough that I felt like there was a change, and that I felt like there's a dimensionality. And I really just reversed it because it was a good times. I just reversed it, and it's good. I think there's just a better balance. I can see the door, you know. I have my nightstand hidden behind the closet, so if I need to put a gun there, even though I wouldn't get a firearm. But you never know. Like if someone comes in and being shady, I can convince them there's one there. I don't know. Um, but yeah, so yeah, and like I just learned a lot about self-respect, and that's something that I've been thinking a lot about. And so just like moving into this next year and what I'm doing, thinking a lot about like self-respect, what it means for me to have self-respect for myself. Because I realized I looked back in my video about boundaries, which was really interesting. And those lessons I realized were needed to be applied in the circumstance I was facing right now. And I've grown in that capacity to recognize how to understand boundaries and things. And I think like a big part of it was just developing love of self and knowing like what I am worth and what I'm worth being treated like. And if people can't see that or acknowledge that, then just being not too extreme in terms of like how I treat them, but just being very decisive in that, okay, either you appreciate me or like you don't exist to me. And that sounds very extreme, Because it's like, well, what if people just like think this or that about you, and it's like that's fine, that can exist in their universe. But in terms of what I interact with, what I do, I only spend time with or focus on people who appreciate me, starting with myself, right? And so I appreciate myself and I love myself and I care about what I'm doing. And so I put and pour the energy there. And the other people who appreciate and care about me, I pour energy into them. But then those who are anything less, so neutral, manipulative, and definitely like hatred or anything like that, they don't exist to me, and I don't put energy into them. And if they try to get in my life, I tell them to F off. And I had to do that with someone. And like one of the commitments I made to myself this year was just being radically honest and giving myself to be like really effing mean people who I feel that way towards. And the reason that is because I'm not a malicious person and I'm not a mean spirited person, right? And so and I noticed that like if I don't get that out, it leaks out on the people I care about, and then I spend that time repairing it. And it's not so bad now because a lot of people I care about like don't get that. But there were some incidences this week when just people who had known me for a while, their first impressions of me when and through my evolution was that okay, Oni's combative and kind of tough to get along with, and I changed, right? And in spite of that change, they didn't see that because that filter was still there because I hadn't repaired that original wound. And so when I had to have that conversation, it was like, oh wow, I'm sorry, and I had to go repair that, and I was doing that with a few other people. But then when I went and tried to do that with others, you start seeing, oh, this person, it's not an original wound. This person's just trying to mess with me, and that's where you start realizing, like, this is not someone who's in my life. This is someone who can spectate or watch, but this is not someone who's in my life. And I was just like very carefully evicting those type of people out of my life and creating space. And thanking them for what they gave and contributed in the time that they were there, you know. But it's just like the parting glass, the song "The Parting Glass," you know. If I should rise and you should fall, we'll gently rise and cough and fall, right? And that's what it is. Like when you have to like when you get to a point of self-respect and really embodying that love for yourself, you start realizing that anything that doesn't contribute to that takes away from that. And it's very much like you're either going forwards or going backwards. There's no stagnation. And there's just a lot of people like they were adding a lot, but now because of they're not adding enough. And it's not like this value game. It's not about like getting your ego or fixing. It's much more reciprocal than that, right? Because I think once you start getting to a certain level of self-love, you can only really be with people who are either trying to achieve that and heading in that trajectory, or who, you can only be with people who are heading in that trajectory. And it's like as you get more and more refining your mission and you're doing, what I'm seeing in myself, I'm noticing that people who aren't about that and who are about like just messing around and kind of crazy, they become very incompatible with me because like I'm not deviating from what I want to do, and when they want to sit around, complain, or like play games and mess around with my plans, like I start getting and feeling angry, and before I would repress that and like be suppressive, be like, no, I should be angry, I should be calm. And like I realize I can still be calm, but if I'm getting that feeling, that's an indicator that this person needs to be removed. Because we're not broken. When we get those emotions, we call them like positive or negative emotions. It's not like that. You just have emotions. When you get angry, anger is an emotion that's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that there's something wrong. I'm going to give you a lot of energy so you can fix it. That's why we get angry. Now, you have to make sure that you're aware to know why you're getting angry and be constructive and cognizant of how you're going to apply that anger. But anger in and of itself is not bad. And so when I get angry with somebody, I know myself well enough to know that I'm not being a dick, right? And I'm not leaking my anger out on other people because I've resolved a lot of those anger issues. There's still some things that came to my mind where I was like, okay, and I have a hit list now. I'll be honest. There's a hit list of people where I'm like, okay, I haven't resolved my stuff with these people, so the next time I meet them, if they say anything like that, I'm gonna let them have it, and I'm giving myself permission to do that because there's just some people they need to be eviscerated, man. They just straight up need to recognize like they're a bully, they're a jerk, and they need to be destroyed. And maybe not destroyed, but that behavior cannot stand. And we need people who are going to stand up for that. I don't know if I said it in this other video, but the other day there was this guy who was fighting with his broad or whatever on the track. And it's terrible calling her a broad, but she really was. Like that's how I describe her. Like she was just putting up, and that guy was a bum. He was a bozo. Like they were just two peas in a pod, right? And they're arguing whatever, and like the guy is like fat, slow, can't do anything, and she's holding a tricycle, so he's trying to pull it out of her, and I'm about 7 feet away from them, and I'm watching him as he's trying to grab this bicycle, and I know he's gonna throw it on the tracks, and I watch for 15 seconds. He throws it on the tracks, and then the subway comes, runs it over, and stops it all. And the whole time I'm thinking I could have stopped it. And I know for a fact I could have stopped it. I could have said something, I could have grabbed the tricycle, I could have done something, but I didn't do it. And I didn't do it because I was being an NPC. I was being like a total non-player character and wasn't owning the fact that I know how to do that. And then I asked, well, why didn't I act? And I was thinking because, well, what if you had a gun or a knife or would have hurt me? And then I was like, you need to get confident enough so that if something like that happens, you can handle it. Because this guy threw this stuff onto the tracks, and it just it like stalled everything. And then what really grinded my gears is that now I've got to go. We go 11 blocks, and there's like this whole exodus of people getting out the train and having to go, 11 blocks in either direction, right? And I see the guy at the next station, and I let him have it. I'm just like, dude, what you did was not cool. I cannot believe what I don't know what's going on between you two, but arguing, you cannot make everyone else's your problem. You cannot make your problems everyone else's problem. Be mindful and recognize you don't live in the world alone, right? And I said like scream, be mindful. Please be mindful of others, right? And he just like looked like a little boy and cowered. And that's when I realized that I was like, if I had, I could have, if I had really looked and seen this guy, like if I was really looking at him and paying attention to him, like I could see him there, right? I would have seen that this guy is just a little boy who's hurt, and like he's mad and he's lashing out, and that's why I threw that tricycle. If I knew, like if I was really being present and paying attention and acted on that instinct, I probably could have stopped that tricycle and maybe provided some other value. But because I was so worried about myself and protecting myself, I didn't, right? And that was something that really gnawed at me. And it was like, well, why did that happen? It's like, well, first off, you don't stand up to bullies in your own life. So it was like you need to start removing and standing up to bullies in your own life. And then when you know how to do that, you'll know how to see it and look for it in others. Because most bullies are just people who are hurt. And it doesn't mean you have to tolerate and condone their behavior. And you need to love them. But sometimes loving them means like you're being a freaking C word, stay away from me, and if you come, I'll punch you in the face, right? And that's weird, that's love, but it's like you're not tolerating their poor behavior, right? Because it only hurts them and it hurts them and it hurts you obviously, right? And sometimes like with anger, that response really does work. And I know that because I've been there. And it's the time I'll never forget. It was when I was 7 years old, right? I was in second grade. And there are these kids, they come off the bus or whatever. And I was just looking at them. And I said, those kids look stuck up. I was like a dumb 7 year old, right? And my teacher was just like, that's really judgmental. You don't know anything about them. You shouldn't say that. And that stuck with me. And since then, I was like, I don't want to judge people because she's right. And think about it though, that influenced me because she's had the courage to stay up. Not that she was a teacher and bigger than me, but it's like we as human beings need to be able to stick up for that. And when we see something that's not right and someone does it right there, we need to be like, yo, that's not it. But we also need to recognize we can't presuppose things either. Because I presuppose that this guy might be dangerous when in reality he was an infant, right? So we just have to like not be judgmental, like be willing to engage when we feel the need to, right? And when I feel like, oh, whoa, I shouldn't engage, it's probably because the better part of you saying this is someone you don't want to mess with. But that's why learning to trust yourself is so important. But then you can only trust yourself, build that confidence when you handle all your stuff, right? And so for me, I'm realizing right now, I've worked on my own self-love, but it's also getting to the point where I am handling, sorry, turning off the other phone, um, where I'm handling the experiences with other people. And like there's people, like I have a hit list. And I'm like, okay, when I see these people next and if they start doing this bullying behavior, I need to eviscerate them. And the reason I'm doing that is not to pick a fight or whatever, but it's like you have to have respect for yourself and respect enough for them to not tolerate poor behavior. And it's like, where are you the judge of that? How can you judge poor behavior or good behavior? And it's like, do I conduct that behavior? How do I conduct myself? And I know myself well enough to know that my most cruel, meanest, like most dour, like evilest moment is very kind because that's who I am. I'm a good, kind person, and I know that. I know that if I get mean and I get angry and I get cutting, it's not coming from a place of malice. It's not coming from a place of hatred. And I know that because I know myself, right? And so because I know that, I can come with a confidence knowing that if I have to cut this person down and eviscerate them verbally, it's coming from a place of their own good and the good of the collective. And it's not coming from a place of disgust or hatred, right? Because I've worked on my stuff. I've worked on it. I've done the work. And I always do the work. I do the work every day. And I will continue to do it till the day I die because I'm committed to that. And so that's where my confidence comes from. The confidence that, like, okay, yeah, if I need to, I can eviscerate this person. So, like, the other day, I won't get into details, right? But, like, one of my roommates, they've been pulling some bullshit. And it was just some bullshit. And they were doing it. And they've been doing it a couple times, and I've been forgiving, kind of nice and dour. And one of the things that's really hit me this week is I was thinking about doing the crane project for this girl. And I was just realizing, like, I always let, like, these women and these people just abuse me, right? And I was like, I need to start here. Like, I need to stop taking crap and realize I'm worth being treated well out the gate because that's how I treat people. So if someone can't do that for me, then they're getting a giant, like, guillotine in my life. Like, that's not a connection I'm going to foster. So when she came and, she was offering, and it was like, it wasn't a real apology. It was a BS apology, and I could see it. And then when I called her on it and tried to resolve the issue, she didn't want to resolve the issue because the issue wasn't us. The issue was that she's crazy, right? Like, she just takes her crap out on other people and doesn't take accountability for it, and then tries to act and pretend like other people did stuff. And it was obvious, right? And, like, I've been in experiences where I've been hurt by people like that, so I know what to do now. For instance, like, and this is for all the men out there, right? If you be around crazy ladies, record your conversations and let them know you're recording. Don't ever do it behind their back. Don't hold it like a weapon or a gun behind your back. Show the gun on your shoulder. Show it on your holster. Show it. Just make sure they know it. And don't talk to them. Once you realize this is not someone I want to be around with, stay away from her. And then every time she doesn't talk to you or you do anything, you pull out your phone or whatever. You don't throw the phone or videotape her face. That's BS. Don't do that. You're going to piss her off. But you hit a record button and you don't have to make it obvious. Well, you make it obvious enough that they notice it. And women are perceptive, right? They pay attention, even though they pretend like they don't. They pay attention. Women be smart, dude. And you just record that, right? And once you do that, you protect yourself, man. Because toxic women, right, they do that. But this is the thing. Healthy women, they're the best thing for you. And when you find them, man, you don't let her go. I was talking with one of my friends, my ex-girlfriend. She's amazing, right? And obviously we're not dating anymore. She's like a healthy girl, and and it's crazy because she's kind of got some stuff, but like everyone does, right? But like you can tell like a good, well-intentioned person because like they're honest. Like there's just basic, easy stuff: honesty, like integrity. Like, do they treat others kindly, or do they try to? Do they own up to their mistakes? Like, do they tell the truth about themselves, and do they take responsibility? Like when people do these things, these are healthy, good people, and no matter what their mistakes are, their flaws are, these are the type of people we need in our lives, right? And I've been fortunate enough that now, because I've met healthy women, I also know what an unhealthy woman looks like, and I just be like, nope, and I can protect myself, right? And I know that this is untrustworthy, and before I didn't know that because I just lumped them in, and that's not healthy. I wasn't being a healthy dude, right? But like I can now attract more healthier relationships because I've worked on myself. I'm a healthier person now. Before I was like kind of unhealthy, so I'd put up with a lot of unhealthy BS, and so now I'm healthier, right? And I'm able to be productive, and so I'm with other people who can do that. And I'll tell you right now, like women are amazing, right? And because they're so amazing, when they're great, they'll blow your life up tenfold and make it great. And if they're unhealthy, they will blow your life up and make it a living hell. So when men, if you see these women and you know she's dangerous, You pull out that recorder and you never talk to her alone. You never talk to her alone. Always bring a third witness. And when you have that third witness, you always establish your boundaries with her. You make it very obvious you do not like her and that you do not trust her and that you don't want her near you. You do everything in your power to make that happen. Right? That is how you protect yourself from these crazy broads. Right? But don't ever treat a decent woman like that, because that's messed up. Right? And they're cognizant of that. And so if you're not cognizant of that, you're an idiot. So just pay attention. But yeah, that's how it be, man. That's how it be. And so that's my experience. So I had a really good birthday, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy right now, and things are working out. And my rent got reduced, right? And it was annoying. And you know how I knew that she was, because then when I was refused the book, instead of apologizing, she's like, okay, well now you can't use my piano, right? Because we had a piano here. And it was like that, and that was it. It was like, yeah, okay, I called it. I knew what you were all about, right? Because when people are sorry, they don't punish you for not accepting their apology. Remember that. If someone's sorry, they're not going to punish you if you don't accept their apology. Because they understand why you're mad, right? So, just, if someone's like that, dude, that person ain't sorry. Don't let people like that into your life, man. Do not let people like that. Protect yourself. And, that's one thing I'm learning. I'm worth protecting, and no matter what, if someone comes and bring in this BS, I'm worth protecting, and I'm starting to see that. And I think before, when people would abuse me, I would be like, oh, well, maybe I'm not good enough and I have to do something. And you get, David Tien calls it the do more trap with women, and I would totally fall into that trap. And I was like, man, what am I doing? And it's like, dude, she's just a bitch. Dude, she's just a bitch. She's and you make excuses, you go in your mind, it's like, dude, just stop, man. She's just, because it's you have problems, and you've gone through that, and you don't treat people like that. Why? Because you're a decent person. She ain't. Period. And just realizing some things be like that. So if you're not treating people well, sometimes you gotta be like, maybe I'm not a decent person, and you gotta look at that. Because there have been times, like I said, there were some friends where I said and did some stuff, and they met me and they were nice to me in spite of that, but then they're like, yeah, when I first met you, you had done these things, and I was like, whoa. And I had to apologize for that, and I felt that, right? Because at that time, yeah, I wasn't super healthy, and I was in a bad way, and I was taking it out on other people. And it's amazing that I have friends that are courageous enough to step up and be like, yo, man, what you did here and what you said then and how you handled this wasn't cool, right? Because then they help you get better, and those are people who are adding to your life. So if you're afraid of people being honest with you, man, you need to evaluate what you're trying to do with yourself. Because if you don't want to handle the truth, you don't want to handle the reality. And the reality of life is that life is a beautiful masterpiece, but we have to be able to look at it honestly. And you can't paint on a canvas you're not willing to look at. That's the reality. You can't make a painting that you're not willing to look at. And so when people help you look at that with their honesty, you just have to take their feedback and learn, especially if they have well intentioned. But if they be crazy people who are trying to mess with your life, you eviscerate them and you kick them out. And I mean it. I'm starting to realize we have those impulses in us, the impulse for violence, the impulse for anger. Those things, when they're misused, can be very damaging. But when you're aligned and you're a good, when you're lined up and you've done your work, when you really know, wait, I'm a good person, I don't treat other people like this, I've handled my stuff. When you've handled your stuff and you know you can trust yourself, when you start getting those impulses, you need to just let it loose. Because I'll tell you right now, Captain America, he doesn't want to kill people, but he does it if he needs to because he's got to handle his business. Because he's like, no life is worth more than my mission and my principles. Not even my own life, right? He's willing to put his own life on the line for his principles, and he's dedicated to that in his life. So he wakes up and he goes to bed, and every hour in between, he's living by his principles and who he is. And that's what real men do. They live by who and what they are, right? And they say nobody gets in the way of that, especially me, right? And if anybody else tries to, they're dead to rights, just like your BS. Me, I want what's good in my life, so I don't tolerate BS from myself. When I do something and somebody calls me out, I eviscerate that part of me. It's just yeah, that ain't happening again. You're not doing that, Oni, because it's not okay. It's not in line with your mission. And when others start bringing that heat, you eviscerate them. You beat like you don't beat them up. That's not what I'm saying. Like don't go out fucking mauling people. But I'm saying you got to keep those people away. You need to protect your mission, protect your vision, right? And protecting your vision means that you're not going to tolerate BS from yourself, and you sure as hell and high water are not going to tolerate it from others, right? And so, yeah, stay on your vision, stay on your grind, right? And like, it's funny because even people who have different viewpoints, like I was reading a text battle I had, and like there's this girl, she's a femme person, I'll say, because I want to respect where she's coming from, right? She's a femme person. And her viewpoints and my viewpoints on like a lot of things, like men, presupposition, sexuality, and stuff, very different, right? And we weren't the same on a lot of things. And we had an extremely productive conversation. And it was like a text conversation, and it was crazy because I realized like even though this girl's coming from a totally different place, and then I don't agree with so many of her mindsets, the very fact that I could talk with her and she respected what I said and I could understand where she was viewpoint told me that it's not our viewpoints that determine the type of person we are. It's our mindsets and how we treat ourselves and how we treat other people, right? So your viewpoint is almost near irrelevant. Like that's why it can change. It doesn't matter. But that part of you that's like, I will not disrespect another person. I will not disrespect myself. I will respect myself. I will respect other people. I will love myself. I will love other people. That's the part of you that matters, and recognizing what that means. And sometimes loving people means when they bring the heat and they beat their BS, you punch them in the face. I'm not saying that literally, but I mean sometimes literally. I had one friend who was being really stupid, and I punched him in the face. That happened last year, actually, before I moved to New York. And yeah, I socked him just because he was being stupid, and so I punched him. I did more than punch him. I kind of messed him up a little bit. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. That was not the way to handle that situation. That was not the way to handle that situation. But yeah, like don't let people be stupid. Don't let yourself be stupid, right? And being stupid doesn't mean making a mistake. Being stupid means going against things you know are right. Like breaking the golden rule. If you're breaking the golden rule or someone's breaking the golden rule with you, there needs to be a heavy heart-to-heart talk. And if that is not fixed, it needs to be ejected, right? And that's how it is. It's like either correct, live in line with the golden rule, which is treat others how you want to be treated, or eject that button. Get it out of your life, right? And that's just it. And it's really simple. Life isn't this big complex game like everybody wants it to be. It's super simple. Just treat others good. Treat yourself good. Be good to yourself and be good to others. And we know what that looks like. And if you don't know, you're like, well, I don't know if it's good. Just be like, okay, how do I feel right now? Right? How is this thing making me feel? Okay, how would that make another person feel? And if you're not able to do that, you need to lock yourself away until you can, right? Because there's something up with you. And you'll figure it out if you spend enough time alone thinking about it and you're not doing drugs or pulling yourself away with distractions. Just lock yourself in a room alone with nothing to do, and you will figure out how to live the golden rule. Trust me. So, yeah, because we're not broken. Human beings are amazing creatures, and everyone has that in them. So, like, if you just learn to lean into that and trust it, you will find the answers, right? You will find the answers. And because I know that, that's why I don't give anyone the leash anymore. Because it's like, wait, I know I had it in me, and I know I'm not any better than this person. So I know this person has the answers in them. The reason they're acting like an idiot is because they haven't done the work and they're being stupid. So I'm not going to tolerate that, right? And it's just like that. And so it's just like do the work, spend time with yourself, be good to yourself, and be good to others. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not living.